Understeer, or push for you oval guys. It is the bane of every petrol head's existence. It's almost like trying to dance with two left feet while being blindfolded. In this video, we delve into the treacherous world of understeer. That infuriating phenomenon where your car refuses to turn. It mocks your driving skills. It practically laughs at you with screeching or locked up tires. So brace yourselves as we enter the journey into understeer. We identify the moments that it's happening, we talk about the causes, and we hopefully come up with a few fixes. And we're going to do all this with a dash of humor thrown in and explain it in a way that everybody out there can understand.
Oh, turn, come on, turn!
Luckily, spotting understeer is really easy because it's about as subtle as a sledgehammer to the face. So here are some of those moments that your car is dealing with some understeer mischief. Wrestling with the wheel of doom. If you find yourself in some kind of Herculean struggle with the wheel, fighting tooth and nail just to have control, well, welcome. You've entered the treacherous world of understeer. Delayed response courtesy of a clueless chassis. I mean, if your car reacts like a sloth on tranquilizers, or if your steering input lag is so far behind that it makes a snail look speedy, then understeer is mocking your driving skills. Wide turns for the drama queen. Picture this. You're flying into a corner, you're full of confidence, but then your car just takes this wide turn. It's like it's going on the Amazon River. And if your car is playing the adventure superstar, then you're dealing with understeer. Tire squeal, the symphony of burning rubber. This is understeer's favorite song. And if your front tires are screaming at you like a banshee in distress, well, this is a clear message that they are failing to grip and dealing with understeer's mischievous puppeteer. Before we can actually talk about the causes and the cures of understeer, it's important for us to visualize what's going on with the car at all of these moments. We're going to have to remember the limitations of the tire, the car, and the car setup, and we're also going to have to recognize the difference between when it's the car's setup problem and our problem, the driver. And if we're going to make any setup changes, we're going to have to watch out for the point of diminishing return, where setup changes can actually start to help, but if you keep going too far, you might actually fall off and get to the point where it actually makes matters worse. In racing, it's always about balance. It's balance of the car and the car's setup, and it's balance for the driver to use these tools to the best of their ability. Mechanically, there are a few things that could be going on with the setup that are causing your understeer. So let's talk about the mechanical issues so that we can maybe make setup changes, or so that you can be aware of them as a driver to make corrections to protect your tires better. Perhaps your tires are still asleep, or maybe they need a vacation. So if you're at the very beginning of a fuel run and you find the tires are very much uncooperative and giving you understeer, it could just be that they are still cold and you need to wake them up, bring them up to temperature, and then you're going to find that grip and maybe you're not fighting understeer. On the other hand, worn out tires are about as cooperative as rebellious teenagers, meaning they do nothing that you ask of them. If it is towards the end of the fuel run, then chances are it is a mechanical issue and you're going to have to make some setup changes to the car. Or depending on how far you are from going into the pits for fresh rubber, it might just be put on the driver to do a better job of protecting the tires so that they last a little bit longer. Suspension shenanigans. Be aware of the mischievous suspension setup. An imbalance in suspension, such as excessive spring rates or an imbalance in damper, can negatively impact cornering and lead to understeer. This prevents the weight transfer from happening, and we really need that extra load on the nose to get us the additional grip and cornering, preventing understeer. So by reducing the springs and lightening up the dampers, we let that weight go to the nose and we get that needed grip. Weight distribution dilemmas. If your car is sitting on its ass like a dragster ready to launch, it's nearly impossible to get that weight to the nose when you need it for cornering grip. By lowering the ride height in the front, we've actually accelerated the process. We lowered the springs to let the transfer happen. By lowering the ride height in the front, we can put more weight on the nose before we even get to braking. Brake bias. The hilarious hijinks of racing school's class clown. Improper brake bias can be a huge setup issue, and it can actually lead you to thinking that you have other issues or problems with the car. The reason is, brake bias can be a little bit of a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. At one moment it helps you, at the next moment it hurts you. Too much forward brake bias can lead to locked up front brakes, which makes your car hydroplane or slide along on its front wheels, which is the definition of understeer. It is the epitome of understeer. And at the same time, too much rear bias can cause all sorts of other problems with rear locked up brakes or preventing rotation of happening to the nose as it's holding the weight of the rear end of the car down. Brake bias is always going to be tricky, and sometimes it can be the savior to make your car go right into the corner with the greatest of ease. Those are the main, and I will say, the generic reasons for why your car might be fighting understeer, but we've really only scratched the surface. If we're talking about downforce cars, we could add wing into the front, get more grip, and cure that problem at the expense of top speed. We need to look at the caster of the car. How much jacking is going on? How much is it re-weighting the car when we turn in the steering wheel? We need to look at camber. How good is our tire contact patch on the ground? That's going to affect our front end grip. In addition to that, we talked about lowering the springs to lower the front end to get more grip there. Well, the tires are part of the spring as well. Lowering tire pressure can get you more front end grip as well. All of these things work together, and they all have a little yin and yang. When you make an improvement here, you might actually find a little bit of loss there. So again, we have only scratched the surface. Now luckily, when it comes to understeer, setup is only part of the problem. The other part of the problem, at least half I would say, is driver-induced drama. We are the problem when it comes to understeer. There are a bunch of things that you as the driver can do to protect your tires, to get better grip out of the front, and not see as much fall off on long runs. Speed demons on a rampage. Are you channeling your inner speed demon? Are you charging into corners like a bull in a china shop? Because if you are, there is no magic setup that is going to create enough grip to hold you on the track. You're going to have to slow it down, my friend. If you're driving off the end of corners, then it's on you to slow down the car enough. You have to respect the tires. You have to respect the car you're driving, and you have to respect the setup and its boundaries. Trail braking blunders, or not even trail braking at all. Trail braking is the skill that separates the men from the boys, and neglecting trail braking is going to come back to haunt you in racing all the time. And on the topic of understeer in particular, it is the way that we get the right amount of weight on the nose of the car. We maintain those grip levels with proper trail braking skills, and that alone can cure an ill-handling car or even get you grip on worn-out tires. The sudden steering tango. Abrupt steering inputs are like surprise dance moves that your partner, the car, it just can't keep up with. You're surprising it all the time, and it's trying to figure out how to get the right balance. By smoothing out those turn-in transitions, you will eliminate not only understeer, but oversteer and a lot of ill effects. You gotta be smooth with your inputs. It keeps the car happy, and it keeps things like understeer at bay. As we bid farewell to the not-so-funny topic of understeer, remember this: identifying, understanding, and fixing the not-so-funny problem just takes a little bit of mechanical persistence and driving finesse. So upgrade those tires, fine-tune that suspension, and embrace smooth driving like a seasoned actor delivering lines. And with these few steps, you're going to put understeer in the past, and it'll be nothing but a punchline in your racing adventures. So I hope this video helps you understand understeer, and it does relate to and has to deal with so many other topics that we touched upon, like threshold braking. We'll cover more of that in the future. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can find out when our next video comes out. And thank you for watching. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.